guys, a very good afternoon to you all. I hope all is well. I hope you are having a good week. It's a pretty miserable morning and afternoon here in Dublin and Ireland. But look, you're very welcome. Hope, as I said, hope everyone's having a good week, and certainly very active in the market and on opportunities. For those of you who I haven't met or who don't know me, my name is Rob Magee. I'm the CEO at Ingenio. We've got two businesses in the focus in and around the tech space, tech and software and SaaS space. One is a recruitment business, and the second is an e-learning business. And I am here to talk to you today in the second of a series that we're doing around researching with intent and intelligence. And I'm here to talk to you today to give you some tips about trying to find out who does your job, who does the job that you want to go and do, that you're actively targeting and focused on. So let's dive into some of the detail. I think when we talk about researching with intelligence and intent, you might remember if you were tuned in last week, we were talking about firstly who your target employer is or was, and that's from an organization company perspective. Today we're going to be talking about who actually does the job that you do, whether it's in that organization or whether it's in like-minded or like-sized or kind of like proposition organizations. And next week, we're going to be doing some work on who is going to hire you. So who specifically will you be working into, reporting to? And that's really, really important as well. And look, that the objective at the end of these three sessions in this sprint, this January sprint, is to allow you to be really, really clever and precise with the research that you're doing in advance of making an application or indeed interviewing. So look, let's dive into some of the context and some of the detail. Who does your job today? Look, I guess the first thing is, before you even know, before you even go after some of this kind of research stuff, I think, look, it goes without saying, and it's really, really important that you need to know what that one job is that you are going to do, that you're going to be good at, or that you can do. And why is that important? Well, look, I'm going to talk lots today. I mean, look, there are lots of roles that we recruit and hire for, and I know there are lots of people on the call today or are listening on the podcast, and in some instances, people are very specific in terms of their career and their track and their trajectory, and they know exactly what job they want to go and do. And I'm going to be talking today about project management, okay, or project managers. And I picked that one just because I think, look, it's something that we're working on at the moment from a recruitment perspective. And I know there's a number of project managers here today. But look, you could be a salesperson, you could be an accounts professional, you could be a HR professional, you could be a developer, software developer, or an engineer. But it's really, really important that you understand what that one job is that you're going to go and do, because that is how organizations hire, right? They don't put out generic job ads saying, we're looking for a jack of all trades. Okay, they'll be very, very, very precise, whether it's whether it's the title, whether it's a junior or a mid-tier or a senior individual, whatever the case may be. So look, that's really, really important. What I then want you to try and kind of tune into is, what is it that you do today or have done that's relevant to that job? Okay. And I think that's really important, because that gives the individual that you're going to be kind of talking to or targeting, it gives context. You might find, let's say, for example, if I think about from a project management perspective, you might find that maybe you're missing a certain certification, or that you haven't achieved a certain certification. And again, that's really important. Or you might you might figure out as part of your research that there are certain things that an organization looks for in their project managers from a kind of a skill set or a capability background perspective. So I think that's really important. You know, what are you missing, so that you can start to identify maybe a kind of course of action around remedying that. And then look, where are you strong and weak, around obviously being able to potentially go and do that job. And that's really important. So doing a kind of a self-aware SWOT analysis on where you're strong and where you're weak, perceived to be strong and perceived to be weak. And I think that will really set you up very well to be able to really go after this piece of research. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here today is I'm trying to get you tuned in to wanting to find and connect with people who do the job that you want to go and do. Why do you want to do that? Well, look, number one, you want to do it from a research perspective. Number two, you want to gather intelligence. Number three, you maybe want to get some help. Number four, you want to really kind of immerse yourself or dive in or jump into that kind of area. And look, whether it's someone who's maybe, if you're a project manager and you want to go and work for Salesforce, maybe you might want to try and have a conversation with a project manager who works at Zendesk or Marketo or HubSpot, whatever the case may be, so that you can get an appreciation for what project managers do in the kind of software or SaaS space. I think that's really important. Okay. What tools have you got available to you? So look, I mean, these are all free, right? So I'm going to focus in today. I'm going to show you a couple of hacks and a couple of tricks specifically around LinkedIn to do from a research perspective. I'm going to use a technique that maybe you've used before, maybe in school or university or college from a research perspective. And that method, that search method, is called Boolean. So I'm going to just do a real quick show and tell on that. Your research and analysis above and beyond, I guess, you know, using LinkedIn and social media sites, there is a ton of stuff that you can go and do in terms of reading, you know, companies' reports, or maybe looking at case studies, or kind of trying to sign yourself up for demos, so that you can get a bit more of an appreciation around what it is that organization does, and then how you can link that into, you know, that particular individual or that particular job. That's really important. And I think, look, the last thing that is just so underused is really, really, really simple, is asking for help. But obviously you need to be, you need to do that in a kind of a solid enough position, and you probably need to be able to offer something back in return. Okay. So what I'm going to do today, folks, is I am going to launch into LinkedIn. Okay. And what I want to do is, again, let's just think about this for a second, right? So you're seeing my LinkedIn feed. This is the free LinkedIn tool. This is a tool that you have access to yourself in exactly the same way. So there's not anything here that I'm going to use today that you don't already have access to. Okay. And what I'm trying to do is, so last week we identified the organization or the types of organizations that we wanted to work for. Now I'm saying to you, what job is it that you are going to do, that you want to go and do? And we've identified that, let's say, for example, as I said, I'm going to use a project manager job to aid this, but you can relate this to whatever it is that you go and do. Okay. So now what I want to go and do, just from a research perspective, is I want to go and have a look for, project management. Okay. And I'm going to use Boolean. So I'm going to use the speech marks, and I am going to add in here, I'm going to add in project manager. Okay. And basically what'll happen is you will see that basically this search has given me a whole load of options up here. Okay. And what I'm now going to tune in on is I'm going to just click on the people tab. Okay. So I'm searching for project managers, I beg your pardon. Just one second, guys. Let me just go and do that again. Okay, so you can see here that basically in my feed, I am now getting everything to do with project managers. It could be people, it could be jobs, it could be posts, It could be any related content that exists within LinkedIn to do with project management. Okay, so now what we'll see is if I click on the full people results, okay, you'll see here where I've highlighted there are 10,700,000 project managers on LinkedIn, or sorry, I should say there are over 10 million people that exist on LinkedIn with the title project manager embedded within their profile. That's what that search is telling me. Okay, so clearly that's an absolutely monstrous return from a search perspective. And what I want to try and do is I'm kind of saying, well, look, clearly I'm not going to be able to, that like doing some research on 10 million people is clearly too big, right? So what I want to try and do is I want to try and refine that down, and I want to make it relevant to what it is that I want to go and do from a job perspective. So I'm going to keep going back up to the search box, and I'm going to now put in right, and I'm going to put in SaaS. Okay, now, so basically what this search is saying to me is I want to find results that show anyone that has the word project manager in their title and SaaS. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go and search for that. So if you remember the last time around, we had 10 million or over 10 million results. Now I've got 243,000. So we're starting to refine it down. And you can start to see there that Ronan Sheridan, who's a project manager at version 1, or Mick McMahon, who's a project manager, you can start to see that we're starting to get kind of a refined piece down from there. Okay. Now what you're seeing along the bottom here is I've got a couple of additional filters here that I can go and report on and filter down by. Okay. So I'll click on locations. We have a huge audience on today from the UK. So what I want to do here is I'm going to click the UK piece. Okay, so you remember we had what 240,000 project managers with SaaS experience. We now have 16,000 in the UK, and you can see here that there's obviously they're all kind of detailed out as are, and I can filter that down even further then, right? So obviously this is giving me some country options, but it's also giving me a city option, so I can drop onto London. And you can see then that what we're starting to do is we're really starting to shrink down and refine these project managers. Okay. Now, last week we spoke about the type of organization that you want to work for. Maybe you know the company, maybe you know it by name, right, based on your research, or maybe you don't, right? But on the basis of maybe you've come up with a list of 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 organizations that you want to work for. Now what I want to try and do is I'm going to say, look, I want to find people who are at Salesforce, okay, or people who have now referenced Salesforce. And you'll see now that I'm right down now to 40 results, okay? I'm right down to 40 results. So basically, what is this report now saying to me? This is saying these are people who are project managers or were project managers. They've got SaaS experience, and it references that in their LinkedIn profile. They are based in London in the UK, and they either today or previously have worked for Salesforce. Now that is an unbelievably precise kind of list, and you can see there that Chantel Fletcher and Shazada Manure, these guys are obviously currently at Salesforce. And what I would be recommending there that you go and do is connect with them. Go into their profile, have a look at their profile and connect with them. Why would you want to go and do that? Well, clearly what you're looking for is you're looking for some insight on them. You want to try and get a little bit of experience in terms of background, where they've been, what they've done, how long have they been at Salesforce, maybe some of the certifications that they have acquired or amassed over the period of time. And I think that's really, really, really important. So like, let's say, for example, you want to go for a project management job, whether that's junior, mid, or senior in Salesforce. I think it's fantastic that you've been able to go and a fantastic kind of succinct, precise exercise to be able to go and do some research on some blind research on the people that are actually doing that job today. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight there. And you can see there, look, the list goes on and on and on. Obviously, there's only 40 results on that side, so there's a kind of a defined piece on that one. The other thing that I wanted to go and do, right, so is I'm going to just reset that entirely. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to show you, you can see here, I'm going to go back to the previous search, which was again, project manager and SaaS. So again, remember what I said, this could be an account manager and SaaS. This could be a financial accountant and SaaS. This could be a software developer with Java skill set and, you know, and Ruby on Rails. Like literally the criteria, you can put in whatever you want in here. And I think it's well worth your while kind of tuning into Boolean as a kind of a search capability to be able to allow you to do some really quick research. But the last thing that I wanted to just kind of cover off here, so I've gone back to my initial search, which is project manager and SaaS. The last thing I wanted to go back to is here is your connections. Okay. And this is really important. So now what it's saying to me is I can search, or I can filter, I should say, by my first, second, and third degree connections. So I'm going to see, who do I know? Who does Rob Magee know in this space that I am directly connected to? Okay. And you'll see here now that there's 346 people who fit these criteria that exist that I am first connections with. Okay. So if I scroll down here and I look at Molly O'Kennedy, who's a project manager at Test Reach, who are one of our clients, and I click on Molly's profile, because I'm a first connection, let me just close that off there, guys. Sorry, 1 second. Because I'm a first degree connection, I have access to, whether it's provided or offered or not, I have access to contact information. So you'll see here, if I click on this link, this contact information, you will see that I've got a mobile number, that I've got an email address, and obviously when we connected, so there's a little bit of historical information there. Okay, so that's really, really important as a kind of a, you know, why should you be connecting in with people in that space? Okay, it's really so that you can start to tune into them, connect with them, and potentially reach out to them and go and have conversations. You'll see here, look, Suzette McKee is Suzette's an old colleague of mine. And if I click on Suzette's profile, again, a whole lot of information on her, and you'll be able to see here contact information. And again, there's a mobile number and her personal email address is in there. And look, that is part of the terms and conditions that you and me and we all sign up to as part of having a LinkedIn profile. So that's really, really important, right? You're not mining information or anything else like that. You are seeing here, guys, on the right-hand side, this is a really cool little piece of technology that we use as recruiters to be able to contact people where we don't necessarily have their contact details. So this is a free Chrome plugin called Lusha, Lusha. And basically what that does is it allows me to get contact information for people who are on LinkedIn, some of whom I'm connected to, but importantly, people who I'm not connected to. And what these guys are doing is effectively they're data mining and scraping. So again, there's another opportunity for me to go and collect contact details for people. Why do I want to go and do that? Well, very clearly, if we think about what it is that we were talking about today, the reason that I would want to go and have a conversation with someone or outreach is we basically want to start a conversation to see if that person or those people, they can help us, right? So as I said, do your research and analysis, start with a connection request based on the reports that we've just done there. Start to have a look at where these people have worked previously so that you start to get an appreciation for who's hiring in that space, what organizations exist in there, who else does this job, who's their boss. And really importantly then, and this is what's very important on social media, what are they commenting on? What are they liking? What are they sharing? Is it stuff that is industry specific? Is it stuff that's role specific? Is it company news? Is it team news? And you'll start to get a real appreciation for, you know, what that kind of project management in SaaS, baby ecosystem looks like. And it's really, really important, really, really valuable, particularly when you start interviewing, because it feels like you're already there and you're in the kind of network and connection and club and group without obviously actually having that kind of access. So that's really important. Okay. The last thing that I mentioned is, look, this is really, really simple here. And this is asking for help. I mean, look, I do it all the time. The guys who work for me do it all the time. People who come and approach and engage us, they do it all the time. I think if you're asking for help in the right way with intent, I think if you do that, I think it's very, very rare that people will actually say no or ignore you or whatever the case may be. Look, maybe they're busy, maybe they've got schedules packed, maybe it's not relevant or not appropriate or whatever the case may be. But what I would be doing is just get into the habit of trying to ask people for help. People love to help other people. And I think, look, one of the things that COVID has definitely taught us is that, that there's a huge focus on people to be kind and do things for others and have a kind of a people first focus and approach. So look, make sure you ask for help. Don't waste an opportunity if you get that help. So what I would do is set an objective from a personal perspective. Really set an objective. What am I trying to get out of this conversation with Rob Magee, and why? Line up maybe five key questions, and you might say, Rob, look, I'd love 3 minutes or 5 minutes of your time. I'd love to give you a call or have a quick Zoom. I'm trying to break into this project management space, and I've got 3 or 4 very quick questions that I'd love to get your take or your view and your assistance on. And look, when you get that audience, you might get an opportunity to be able to, if you've impressed that individual, you might get an opportunity to be able to see who's hiring. Don't forget, folks, the reason that people are tuned in to this Zoom today or listening to this podcast today, the reason that you're listening to me talk is that you are either actively looking for a new role or a new job or a job, or you're starting to think about doing it. So that is why I want to try and kind of put this content together for you. And I think, look, asking for help is probably one of the easiest things to go and do. You don't need any qualification or experience to go and do it. But you do need a little bit of guts and some chutzpah and that. But you also need to be prepared if someone says, yes, I'm gonna give you an opportunity. Okay. Look, as I wrap up, and I might just say right now, I am more than happy to take a live question now. So if you want to use the Q&A, by all means do. While I'm waiting and kind of wrapping up on that one, we run these polls every week. And what I want to try and do so that we can create really good content for you is, what I would love you to do is just literally take 5 seconds to help me understand how we can deliver better content and courses and sessions for you. You might just give us a vote there. Which of these tools are you using in your latest job application? Which of these tools are you using from a research perspective? So again, I think that's really important. The next session that we're going to do is next Wednesday, same time, 2 o'clock, live. Obviously, if you sign up, you get the recording, and clearly for those listening on podcast, you'll do likewise. Our course, our Ingenio Learning course, we've basically built a course to help you get hired in the tech and software space. That is available for purchase at ingenio-learning.com. We've got a full course offering, which is a lifetime accessible one with loads of this types of content. I'm running it specifically, and there's a whole heap of work streams, worksheets, exercises that you'll find incredibly valuable and useful to support you through this process. We offer that. There's a 24-hour trial on offer across UK and Eurozone. There's a 10% discount or promo code for anyone who's listening in today. and that's Ingenio 10, Ingenio 10. I'm more than happy to, as I said, to take a question. I might just show you really quickly, just in terms of the poll results. Really interesting, actually. 100% of people who are on the session today are using LinkedIn and social media to do research. Well, look, I'm delighted to hear that, number one, and I hope that some of those search techniques are useful to you, and I really, really hope they are. Boolean is something that people haven't tuned into there at all, and if it's the first time that you've seen that, you know, there's loads of stuff on YouTube and Google on that one, and it's very, very easy to go and do. I do have a question from Michael Harrington. Michael, you're saying to me, does Lusha comply with GDPR? So the context on that one is that when you sign up for, Michael, when you sign up for your LinkedIn account initially, okay, you tick loads of boxes to basically comply or not with LinkedIn's processes and policies and strategies and all that type of stuff, okay? And when you set up your LinkedIn profile, you have the opportunity to put your contact information in. So that can be your phone number, your personal email address. By the way, you can also choose not to do that. And clearly what LinkedIn do as an organization is they make lots of money selling and mining your data to other organizations, all sites, all types of organizations. So in terms of what Lusha do, they are compliant or complying with LinkedIn's processes, and clearly LinkedIn are entirely compliant with GDPR in Eurozone and also in the US and all the other data protection kind of policies. So yeah, look, I think clearly I don't work for either Lusha or LinkedIn, Michael, but I think hopefully that gives you a little bit of a kind of a bit more of an insight into that one. But it's definitely a very good tool, a very useful tool. And obviously people have the opportunity to tune in and tune out for that. Okay, guys, well, look, I hope that session has been useful for you all today. I don't think I've got any more questions. Sorry, Harold has asked me a question. What SAS is used in the search? I don't fully understand the question there, Harold, that you're asking me, but look, what I'm using there is I'm using a skill. So SAS in this instance stands for Software as a Service, SAS for short. And I'm using that as a skill set that people put up in either in their skills in LinkedIn or indeed in maybe some of the descriptive narrative that explains their that explains what they do in their role or the types of organizations that they work with or sell to or whatever the case may be. So look, I'm using SAS in that instance as an example, and I hope that helps. That's quite a broad term, and I could be really specific. I could be looking for MarTech SaaS companies, and I would just drop that into the LinkedIn profile piece. Harold, hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, shoot me an email. I'm happy to take that one offline. Okay, folks. Well, look, one thing before I finish, I just want to say we have, in our recruitment business, we have had the most incredible start to the year from an activity perspective. The market is very, very buoyant, very, very active. There are lots and lots and lots of clients hiring, irrespective of lockdowns, you know, all over Europe. So there are clients who are undeterred in terms of their ambition and their focus. And what I will say to you is this: there are loads of organizations hiring, but there are a huge amount of candidates out there on the market for obvious reasons. You need to work harder than you would have done 9, 10, 12 months ago. And look, my hope is that sessions like this and our course at Ingenio Learning will help you be an extra 1 or 5 or 10 or 50% better than your competition. So you've got to work harder, but I will say to you that the market is absolutely buoyant right now. So I wish you all the very best of luck. Look after yourselves, keep the faith, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks, guys.